Okay, let's take a look at Teams. We've already taken a look at some of the features of Teams throughout the videos, but let's review. So if you have the Teams feature enabled, then every new user created within the system belongs to at least one team, which is their personal team. So if you go into the example I have here, and if you go to the menu here, you'll see I have my personal team here. Now, if you go to team settings, then you can invite other existing users here, just add their email address. And you can also assign roles to them, which have associated permissions. So I also showed you this in the last video. So the roles are defined in Jetstream Service Provider, right here. And you can assign any permissions you want, and they are just strings. So you can see we have admin and editor here, and the only difference is that the editor cannot delete. So if I wanted to create a new role here, then you can just duplicate this and assign any permissions you want here. So I'll just give it a name here. I can't think of a good name right now, so I'll just say anything. And you can give them permissions here. And the permissions are going to merge together. So if they're duplicated, then there will only be one. So since these are the same, there will only be one read permission. Or if you want, you can sort of namespace these. Say post update, and that will create a new one. So if I save this, you'll see, let me just change this as well. You'll see this new role in here. Okay. But we'll just stick to whatever's default here. So let me just undo this. Okay. And if you saw here, I already have a user associated with this team. And let me just go through the example I have here before we get into the example app. So I have a seeder here, so everything's set up when I migrate the database. So I have 4 users and 2 teams. Actually, no, I have 4 users and 4 teams because every user has a team, but only 2 of those teams have more than one user. So user A is Andre. This is Andre's personal team. User B is Will, Will's personal team. And then I added Will to Andre's team. User C is Sally, Sally's personal team. Jen, Jen's personal team. And I added Jen to Sally's team. And I also have posts here, which is the example we'll be looking at. So a post from Andre and a post from Sally. So before we get into this example, we also took a look at actions. And there are a few actions associated with teams. If you go into the actions folder and Jetstream, you'll see some actions for the different functionality of teams. For example, adding a new team member. And the example we had here was I just logged this information here. But say, for example, you wanted to send an email, you can put that in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the example I have set up here. So let's go to my routes file here, and you'll see a bunch of routes for posts. And the example I have here is a typical blog application. So if you go into posts here, you'll see the 2 posts that I have set up in my seeders. One by Andre and one by Sally. And listing the posts and reading the posts are both public. And you can see that here in the routes. They are not wrapped in any middleware, but everything else is within middleware where the user has to be logged in. So in order to create, edit, or delete posts, you have to be logged in. And I also have other permissions set up as well, which I'll show you. So right now I'm logged in as Andre. So Andre created this post. So Andre can edit this post and Andre can delete this post. So I can edit if I want. Changed, and that should work. And it does. And delete works as well, but I won't delete it for now. So if I were to go to Sally's post, then I should not be able to edit or delete because that is not my post. And as you see, there is no create or edit button here. So let me show you the post controller that has all that functionality. So index is just grabbing all the posts and showing the view. Creating is just showing the view for creating a new post. Storing is actually storing that new post. And showing is public as well. But for editing, here is the permission that checks whether or not that user can edit that post. So it's just checking if the user is the one who created the post. So you can put this in a policy as well, which is what I usually do, but I just put it in the controller here so it's easier to see. And the same permission exists here in the update method and also the delete method here, or destroy. So now we want to modify this app so that anyone on the team can edit or delete posts. So like I said, I have Andre and Will on one team. So I want Andre to be able to edit, or sorry, I want Will to be able to edit Andre's posts or delete Andre's posts. So let me log in as Will, and obviously the way it's set up now, Will cannot do any of those things. So let me just log out and log in as Will. Okay, so I am logged in as Will. And if I go to posts, you'll see that Andre or Will cannot edit or delete Andre's posts. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to show you is the show blade where the buttons show up. I have the check here as well. And I have separate ones for edit and delete. Right now they're the same, but they're going to be different later on. So only show the buttons if the logged in user is the person who created the post. And in this case, Will did not create this post, so it's not showing the buttons. But like I said, Will is a part of Andre's team, so I want Will to have that functionality. So again, depending on your app, you have different use cases for who can see what or who can do what. For example, in the documentation, they mention a calendar app here. So obviously reading is going to be different depending on what user you're signed in as, or what team you're signed in as, I mean. So let's go ahead and make this work. Pretty straightforward in this case. Let's go to our create posts table. And all we have to do is add another foreign ID for the team. So let's go make one. So foreign ID, let's call it team ID. So this will keep track of the team that created this post. Okay, so we have to make a change on the post controller since we're now storing the team ID. And we want to change the store method. So let's look for that. And we just want to add the team ID here. So I'm going to do team ID. And to get the current user's team or current team, so the one they are signed in as. Oh yeah, so what I said was correct earlier, but I want to make sure that I am within Andre's team. So right now I'm logged in as Will, but I'm logged in as my own personal team. So I'd have to switch to Andre's team. And this is still the same, but now I'm signed in as Andre's team. So this should still not show the buttons, okay? So Jetstream has a bunch of handy methods available on the user model. If you scroll up here, right here, so all of these, they're pretty self-explanatory, so just read them and they should make sense. We'll make use of some of them here. So in this case, when we're creating a new post, we want to keep track of the user's logged in team. So in this case, we just want the current team. So let's do that in our code. So auth, let's grab the user and say current team ID. Okay. So that's just a field like that. So now we're keeping track of the user that created the post and also the team they are signed in as. Let's also change our seeder here. So database seeder. And let's add a team ID as well for the posts. So here, let's add a team ID. And it's going to be user A current team ID. And same for this. And this is user C. Okay. And let's go ahead and re-migrate our database. So migrate fresh seed. Now I'm going to sign in as Will again. Nothing has changed so far. So let me just refresh this. And I'm not signed in because I re-migrated the database. So let me just sign in as Will again. Okay, and let's go back to Andre's post. Nothing has changed so far. So we do want to show this button because Will is a part of Andre's team. So let's go ahead and go to the show blade here. And let's change the permission here for the edit button. And it's going to be the same for delete for now. So it's pretty much the same thing. Let me just comment this one out. Let me just duplicate it first actually, then comment this one out. And what we're checking now, instead of the user's ID, is the user's team ID. So we can do auth user to grab the user. We want to grab the current team they're logged in as, so current team. And we want to grab their ID, and that's just a field. And the check is not for user ID, but the team ID that we just added, and that should work. So I'm going to grab this one and put it here as well for delete. Just duplicate this, comment this out, and paste it in. And hopefully this should show now. And it's not showing because I'm not logged in as Andre's team. So let's go back. Sorry, I don't have the UI set up correctly with the menu on top. So I have to go back here, change it to Andre's team. And now this should work properly. And there we go. Now we get the edit post and the delete post. So this is not going to work yet because we also have to change the permissions in the controllers. So if I do this, we get a 401 unauthorized. So we just basically have to take the same permission here. So let me just grab this and put it in the controller. So that's in the post controller. And we just have to replace the 3 ones that we have here. So one for edit. So let's remove this or replace this. And it has to be the negated case. So let me just add 401 here. And it should be not like this. Okay. Let's grab this. Let's put it on here as well. And like I said earlier, this should be in a policy to make it cleaner and not have this duplication. But for demo purposes, I'm just putting it in the controller here. Okay. And this should work now. Will should be able to edit Andre's post because they are on the same team. So I'm going to refresh, edit this post, edit shows up, Andre post 1 edited by Will. Let's try it here as well. And update, and that worked. And let's make sure that it doesn't work for Sally's post because I'm not a part of Sally's team and it doesn't. Cool. So let me just go back here to Andre's post. And at this point, we're not checking any of the permissions or any of the roles. We're just checking if this person is on Andre's team. And for a lot of cases, that's fine. But let's see how we can respect the permissions or the roles. So let me go into the edit page here. And let's see how we can check the role. So back here, let's go into our post controller. Let's start with edit. And I just noticed you can also do not equal here instead of putting the not in front, which is the same thing. So I'll just leave it like this. Actually, no, it's cleaner like this, I think. So let me just change these here. Okay. And let's check roles here. So back to edit. And let me duplicate this, comment this out. And now we need the not sign here. And we can make use of the has team role method. And let's take a look at what that does. Let's look for has team role. So it takes in the team and we just check for the role as the second argument. So it's going to be auth user current team for the team. And let's check if they are an editor. So let's pass in editor here as a second argument. Okay. And let's close out this bracket. Okay. I think that's right. So this should still work because Will is an editor and it does. But if I were to change this to admin, Will is not an admin. So this should be a 401 and it is. Cool. And if you want to make use of permissions instead of roles, then it's almost the same. Let me just comment this one out. And instead of has team role, we can do has team permission. The first param is the team and the second param is the permission. So in this case, we want to check if we have the update permission. And we do, so this should still work. But if we put another permission in here that we don't have access to, or if I were to remove the update on the editor, let's do that instead. Jetstream service provider. Let's remove update from editor. So editors can no longer update. This should be a 401 and it is. Cool. Let me just put that back. And I'll just stick to this one here. And we also have to do this in the view as well. Let me just paste these in here. Okay. And here as well. Okay. And let's go back to the show blade for now. So back here. And it's added for here as well. So it's pretty much the same thing, just the not negated version. So, oops. Let me just grab one of them here. So this check right here. And it's pasted out in here. And this one's for updating, but I separated them out because this one is for delete over here. So we want to change this one to delete. Okay. And editors cannot delete. So in this case, delete should not show. And it doesn't. Cool. Editing still works. Let's double check. And it does. Cool. So there you have it. A quick look at using teams and roles and permissions within Jetstream. So if you know you're going to make use of teams in your application, go ahead and take advantage of Jetstream's teams abilities, as a lot of the functionality is already built in for you out of the box.